in a coop do to each other. If there is a chicken that looks different than the others, they pick on that chicken until either that chicken dies or it is rescued. Beware of the urge to peck on the one who's different. The topic I'd like to address is bullying in schools. There's a potential harm in kids getting bullied at school, and there are ways we can help overcome this problem. I will discuss who is targeted, statistics, physical and emotional trauma it causes, and ways we can help to eliminate this problem in the schools. Bullying. So who is targeted? Bullying happens everywhere and to anybody. Lesbian, gay, youth with disabilities, and socially isolated youth may be at an increased risk of being bullied. And then in the New York Times, I found an article from a teenage girl's view on what it's like to be bullied. She talks about how she thought that these were her friends. And then she says, I was a fool, however, for teenage girls pick their targets by familiarity. They are less likely to torment someone small and insignificant and more likely to viciously turn on their friends, preferably the weakest link in the group. Prey who is easy for them to catch and take down. I was the weakest link. I was the gazelle of the group, and thus I became their target. It was eerie because when my eventual demise began, I had no idea what was going on. Yes, it was slightly fishy, and they had stopped calling me, stopped saying hi to me in the hallway, but I assumed it was nothing. And again, I was wrong. Once the period of silence came to a close, all hell broke loose. Vicious rumors began spreading around, and dirty looks and foul words were thrown my way in the hall. I was forced off the lunch table and into social leprosy. Exactly a week after phase 2, social alienation, had begun, I received an email from the ringleader of the group. I opened it up to receive an email that said, 50 reasons why we can't be friends with you. Underneath the headline, as promised, were nearly 50 reasons ranging from my body to my personality to my clothes that nearly stated the reason for my alienation. I felt sick. That was a story by Lena Rowley from Montclair, New Jersey. I can relate to Lena because this same thing happened to me in junior high. I know how this girl felt and her story really pulled out my heartstrings. In the 8th grade, some of my friends started passing a notebook around, back and forth to each other. Eventually, I figured out what it was, and in it were the reasons why they didn't like me. I felt sick, just like Lena. 70.6% of U.S. students have seen bullying in their schools. Some of the impacts of bullying are truancy. Nearly 160,000 students stay home every day because they are afraid of getting bullied. They have headaches, stomach aches, reduced appetite, shame, anxiety, irritability, aggression and depression, low self-esteem, and suicide even in some of the extreme cases. Arne Duncan of the U.S. Secretary of Education said, children cannot get a quality education if they don't first feel safe at school. The child who is overweight is often the most likely to be bullied. That's from the Journal of Pediatrics. What happens to us early on in life can impact us later on in our life. Who are the ones that are more likely to bully others? There are two different kinds of bullies. One type of bully is connected to their peers. They have social power, are worried about being popular, and they like to be in charge of others. Another type of bully is almost the exact opposite. Others might be more isolated, have low self-esteem, less involved in the school, be easily pressured by their peers, and they are emotionally detached. The reason that people bully is to fill a need of being bigger than those that they bully. In this situation, there are no winners. While the ones that really get the hard hit are the bullied, those who bully often quite miss the opportunity to learn other ways to deal with their aggressive behaviors. Those who bully are more likely to commit crimes later in life. What can be done? Well, schools are being increasingly sued for failing to provide a safe learning environment and are being held liable for the harassment, violence, and suicides caused by bullying. But is it their fault? Those schools who have an anti-bullying program have a 50% decrease in school bullying. Some of these suggestions I think are good ideas if we just make sure that we report any bullying that we see to a teacher or police officer. Also, don't be a bystander. Don't just sit there and watch someone else be attacked and not be willing to do something about it. Go and get help as soon as you can. Don't let your own kids be bullies. Do not take it lightly. If you find out that this is happening, make sure that you put a stop to it. I had a son who was bullied, and I had to go into the school and actually sit there because the teachers were not paying attention to what was going on. And right in front of my face, several times in that afternoon, I was able to see where this was going on, where other kids were hitting my son. And so you need to take action in any which way that you can. Teach schools and parents how to protect those that are being bullied. In closing, I'd like to remind you to be aware of the urge to peck on the one who's different. Watch for symptoms of being bullied in kids you work with. Don't just be a bystander. And don't take bullying lightly. Together as parents and members of the school, we can make a difference.